Adam, football schedule out. Let's take a look at it. It starts, we knew this one. The only way we knew was the ACC Network's preview show from Monday when they said that Carolina would be traveling to Minnesota on Thursday, August 29th. That's how things start. Then 3 consecutive home games, Saturday, September 7th, 14th, and 21st. That's against Charlotte, Central, and James Madison. Road trip to Duke on September 28th. Remember, Duke has a new coach, Manny Diaz, now the head man for the Blue Devils. Back at home against Pitt. Georgia Tech on October 12th. The Jackets have been a problem. Another team that's been a problem, Virginia. That's after a bye week. Carolina doesn't play on the 19th, so they go to Charlottesville on October 26th. Then another road game at Florida State on November 2nd. Another bye week. Then you're home against Wake, at BC on the 23rd, home against NC State. So a couple of just first glance highlights on this thing, Adam. One, after that road trip to Minnesota, the Tar Heels really don't go on like a road trip until October 26th at Virginia, and they won't get on an airplane again until November 2nd against Florida State, because you've got the 3 straight home games, Duke, which of course is a road game, but it's right nearby, and then back-to-back home games again against Pitt and Georgia Tech after that. So that is a long stretch, as long as I can remember, of just being in the area for the Tar Heels. You've got the 2 bye weeks, but they're both pretty late. I mean, you've got the one that's October 19th and then again on November 9th. Those would be the 2 Saturdays that Carolina doesn't play. Then you've got some difficult road trips late in the year at Florida State, at Boston College, but alternating with home games against Wake Forest and NC State to close things out. So, I mean, we knew the opponents, Adam. I think this sets up pretty well. I mean, that Minnesota game is going to be huge. Carolina is going to be heavily favored against Charlotte and North Carolina Central after that. James Madison is a good team. Remember, they were one of the last undefeateds this past season. So, but Carolina, I think, would and should be favored in that game at home. And so you have an opportunity to really start the year with some positive results and a good record. And then, as we know, the Heels have done that the last couple of years. So then it just becomes, can you continue to succeed as you move through the season?
Yeah, as you said, knowing the opponents, it was mostly a matter of where they fall. And so, for example, I think you might rather go to Boston College at a time other than November 23rd.
Yeah, that'll be chilly.
But on the other hand, I think if you have to go to Florida State, you'd rather go in November than in September when it's one of the muggiest places on earth. So on paper, in my personal opinion, the 2 best teams on the schedule are both in November. So that gives you potentially the chance to build some momentum.
I'm assuming you think that's Florida State and NC State?
Yes. You've got a chance to build some momentum, but in order to do so, you have to defeat Minnesota. I think the Tar Heels have a little bit of the new coordinator edge in that game because Minnesota won't know exactly what Carolina is going to look like under Jeff Collins. But the flip side is the Tar Heels won't know exactly how whoever's playing quarterback is going to perform. So maybe those 2 things cancel each other out. I'm glad to know that no matter how much the ACC expands, the Tar Heels and longtime rival Pitt will always remain together.
Yeah. Yeah, this really just kind of feels like a normal schedule for the Tar Heels. I mean, I'm not sad that Carolina, they play one of them next year.
The time is coming. The clock is ticking.
Yeah, get it on the countdown clock here in Pod Roll headquarters. Time until the Heels face Cal.
Or time to arrange a different arrangement before that's permanent.
That's an early start. I mean, some of it's just the calendar. I mean, I think Georgia Tech and Florida State play each other in Ireland on August 24th. So that was the second day of the ACC reveal where they just showed you the Thursday-Friday games, which fortunately the Tar Heels don't have any of those, so that's good, other than the Thursday game to start the year against Minnesota. But after that, it's all Saturdays, which I like.
Do you think the Irish people are perplexed about why they're getting Georgia Tech and Florida State? Like, what's the connection? George O'Leary used to coach at Georgia Tech.
And almost coached at Notre Dame, who's kind of in the ACC.
Yeah.
Welcome to Ireland, everybody. So, Adam, I mean, there's no sense in sitting here going like, this schedule tells me the Tar Heels will be 9-3 or whatever. I think this is a schedule that Carolina has the ability to start with some momentum, and I think they have the ability to figure some stuff out. Now, you're still starting on the road against a Big Ten team, so that part is not going to be easy. But I think if you win that game, again, let's be honest, Tar Heels should beat Charlotte and North Carolina Central in Kenan Stadium. So then if you win the Minnesota game, you've got a chance to have a really good start to the year, work some things out with some new pieces, and see where you are. So we'll see.
From a fan standpoint, you don't get to come to Kenan Stadium between October 12th and November 16th. It's a pretty long time.
Yeah, that is a long
home
time.
Game. And that's like prime football in Kenan Stadium time. So you'll just have to go on a weekday and just sit there when it's empty. And
yeah, I mean, those are 2 road games and 2 bye weeks in there. Yeah, you're right. That's a whole month.
And then by the time you get back into it, then we're getting close to Thanksgiving. Again, I mean, you got to play all these games sometime. And I don't think there's anything to complain about this schedule.
No.
Like if the Florida State game was in Dublin, I would be against that probably. Although that's a pushpin game.
Yeah. So, still a long way to go. I mean, we're 8 months away from – you could almost have a baby in the time that it's going to be before Carolina plays Minnesota.
Do you have an announcement?
I do not.
I mean, to be honest, we don't know who's going to be on any of these teams.
No.
On the day that these games kick off.
Let's not forget that there's a whole nother transfer portal window after spring ball. So, I mean, Tom Brady could be on the Tar Heels for all we know at that point in time. We'll find out.
Would he be on the pod?
Yeah, that's right. Come on, Tom.
We'd go over there. We'd get him on the little board. Sign right next to Coach Collins.
What's your Twitter handle? Tom Brady. So, ACC football, 8 months away. Tar Heels, Minnesota, August 29th on the road.